My name is AAron Capouellez. I was a master's student at IUP. I graduated recently with a master's in biology. This is 7 years. I've been doing a lot of conservation work with frogs and toads. So I go out on the roads and rescue them. I build habitats for them, and I do a lot of other stuff like filming them, which is why I have cameras and drones and gear and everything else. So I've been trying to figure out different ways on how we can help the tadpoles and how we can help the frogs, and also get grant funding and do different things, and try to work together more so with the public. And recently I was awarded a grant, and we were able to create things out of that called Critter Talks, where we're bringing some different creatures for you guys to raise and enjoy and hopefully get a chance to get excited about, whether it's tadpoles that might turn into my friend Esperanza someday, carnivorous plants that eat insects and even salamanders, or millipedes that break down a lot of different stuff in the environment, and they're really cool themselves. But I'm also the founder of PA Woods and Forests, which is the nonprofit that received the grant. That is this on the left. We have a lot of different creatures we focus on, whether it's carnivorous plants, frogs and toads, bees and butterflies. I also have a media brand, and that's kind of where I do some of my work, like drone missions, and I do a lot of other things as well. I have different YouTube shows, so at the end of this I have an electronic business card. If anybody is able to scan that if you want to. We're going to have some fun here. I'm pretty well known for frogs and toads in the area, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, but I wanted to ask you guys, how many frogs are native to Pennsylvania? Just to this state. So here's how we'll do it. We'll do it by a show of hands. So I'll say like A or B or C or D. Just raise your hand for which one you think, all right?
You have to vote.
You have to vote, she just said. All right, so who thinks A? 5. All right. Who thinks B? Who thinks it's C? Okay. Who thinks it's D? All right. So let's see what it was. 18.
Oh.
Of those 8, how many of you, did anybody know that? You knew that? It's all right, you know it now, right? So after you leave this class, you can tell people in the hallway, hey, guess how many frogs we have in the state? So there's one more thing that I'm going to show you, and then we'll kind of talk about what we have today. So I have a lot of different devices that I take out into the field whenever I go and look for the frogs and toads. There's nothing greater, though, than going out into the field and looking for frogs and toads. You have to know what they sound like. And frogs and toads can be very loud. So before we go too deep in anything else, I wanted to share with you guys what they sound like. This is what I'll have to know. We're going to do a frog walk tonight in Greensburg. So bring your family. You're all invited to this if you want to come out. It's going to be a really good time. We expect a lot of people. We're have a couple clubs from Westmoreland that are going to be represented. But this is what I'm going to show them too. We're going to have an opportunity to hear what frogs might be active and then go find them. So let me play this for you. If you've ever heard it, let me know. Feel free. I'll call on you if you know what it actually is. Has anybody ever heard of that before? No? You guys have a lot of water around you, so you're listening. Good guess. Who else? Any other guesses? What's that? That's a good guess. Any other guesses? Northern green frog. So you can see here, northern green frog. You guys see it? How are you guys doing this afternoon? Good. Well, that's really good to hear. We got a large group, so I'm excited about that. I'm here today to talk to you about some animals that you're going to be raising. You're going to have the opportunity to spend some time getting to learn, and also talk to you about some of the work that I do and some of the cool stuff that I use when I go out into the field looking for animals. So, all right, Wimber, how are you guys doing? Good. Yeah? I'm so excited to be here. There's so many things that I have to talk about with you guys. It's not going to be just me up here talking for the whole 45 to an hour. You'll have an opportunity to ask questions. I like to have opportunities here where students get a chance to ask me questions, and you guys can feel free to interact with me as I answer your questions. Raise your hand though, so that way we're not calling out. There's too many people in here for this to be a chaotic event. So just make sure that you're raising your hand to be polite. Again, there will be opportunities for you to participate as well. You'll just be raising your hand, basically, like what this gentleman over here is doing. Go ahead.
I had a red tree frog. His name was Jerry. He died.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. One moment of silence for Jerry. All right. Godspeed to Jerry. Township, they're great. It's good to see you guys. I think I might have been here. I don't know if anybody remembers. I brought tadpoles and carnivorous plants. Was anybody here a part of that presentation? A couple of you guys, so you remember. That's really cool. And of course, we have our stars of the show for what you guys are going to have a chance to raise. Some examples of what they can turn into. And I have other creatures as well that you guys are going to have a chance to keep. But you are not keeping the raw hot rods. That would be for me. But anyway, yes. So after 7 years of doing conservation projects, we're building habitats. I do road rescues. I go out and document animals that I find that might not have been in counties before. I'm keeping up with populations. So there's a lot of things that I do. It's almost like it's like a mountain sandwich to explain how much there is that I'm working with and how much I'm doing. So it's also about being out there to focus on what's happening in our area to make a difference. So as I was trying to get grant funding for a 7-year conservation project, there was a lot of issues that I ran into, a lot of roadblocks, because a lot of people were unsure how to exactly fund tadpoles who are out in the wild. So thankfully our nonprofit focuses on a lot of different species like carnivorous plants and millipedes and different things. So I had an opportunity to feature a lot of creatures so that way you guys can see what's growing in our backyards and across Pennsylvania. Hopefully you'll have appreciation for it. This is some stuff here, the different critters that I brought. They're very important and it's very passionate for me. Like I get out of bed in the morning looking to make a difference for this stuff. So there's a lot of reasons why I'm here. Before I answer any more questions, I just wanted to kind of lay something out for you guys to explain why I'm here, what I'm doing.
I put some stuff in there that gets rid of all the chemicals that would be harmful to the tadpoles. And then we have a little bubbler in there that's going to keep the oxygen flowing through the water. There's a platform so that when our tadpoles grow front and back legs, they'll be able to.
The tadpoles just go in circles. Yeah, they're just going up and down. Yeah, I love seeing them just fly.
They get used to their new bubbles environment. Okay, so Mr. Aaron, I will hand things over to you. Whatever you'd like to cover and you want us to know.
I was coming home from a salamander walk, taking people from a college out to look for salamanders at the university. And I was on my way home. I pulled in the driveway. It was a normal day. Just saw an American toad at the edge of the sidewalk. I thought, how fitting is this? Like, we just had a nature walk. I'm going to go catch the toad and take him back to the pond. So I catch, it was not this toad, but I catch a toad and I look in our pond and I see a small American toad wrapped around a large bullfrog, and the bullfrog had an American toad all the way down its mouth except for little toes that were sticking out. And so it's kind of one of those where I feel like a little selfish for doing it, but at the same time we have over 10 years of history with getting American toads in a backyard to repopulate the whole neighborhood where they almost disappeared from the neighborhood. So it's almost like a fishery, somebody who would be raising trout in the classroom. If you found a pest that was getting in, then you would have to do something to move it or account for it. And the toads in the neighborhood have developed a unique trait that a lot of other American toads do not. The American toads in my neighborhood have become very small, I think to avoid lawnmowers, and it's probably easier to navigate with cars because they're quicker, instead of being a much larger toad where it's harder to cross the street. So he's the perfect size for a bullfrog to eat, and possibly 2 or 3 of them in one night. Whenever we have 17 American toads in the pond, if the bullfrog were to eat 3 of them in 1 week, and this would happen over the span of 2 months, we would probably be out of American toads. So I don't encourage people interacting with nature that way. So because he kind of cheated death, I personally don't feel like, I kind of feel bad about doing it, but in a way, like I do care about this little toad and the things that he's taught me, so I wanted to give him a little bit better of a life. So he was probably less than an inch away from being swallowed completely. Again, he does not have a name or anything like that, but it's just some of the things that are happening out there that, I mean, if I didn't see it, it is what it is, but because I had seen it, and because the American toads were actually grabbing the bullfrog while he was eating them, then it did something, it kind of made me have to act not as a spectator, which I don't encourage. That's not necessarily a good thing. So I had to make a decision, and I don't know, the longer that I saw this little toad and I got to take him out and see how he interacts with classrooms, it's kind of funny because there's a little pub in Ligonier called the Road Toad, and I think that's like almost the perfect name for him because he might have the opportunity to go out in Westmoreland when I do presentations here and do something like that. So his story is going to be ongoing. You guys will have to watch Frog Week to see where he ends up by the end of July into August, because his story will continue to be written, as right now we're in the midst of creating a story for him. There is another toad that is not here because it would not have been classroom appropriate. There is a toad that I found out doing rescues and stuff that had its wrist cut off, and I am in the process right now of treating that wound, making sure he doesn't get infected. But these are things that happen whenever animals are in close proximity with people. In backyards, cats and cars and other creatures can harm them and people. And even in fishing sites where you would think folks would want to take care of the area because they're fishing, there's a lot of pollution, there are fishing lines. I'm not going to go into detail about some of the things that I've witnessed at this site, and it was a site that I had visited over the past 7 years, but I wasn't there as consistent. But I feel the need now that I probably do need to be there because I just witnessed a lot of different things this year. But I say all this because there's a lot of issues that American toads and other frogs are facing in our backyards. That's why our nonprofit exists, because we want to work with you guys. We want to work in the neighborhoods. We could work with the government. We could do things with national parks and state parks and forests. But really where a lot of the battles are going to be won is in backyards. So that's why it's so important with what we're doing. Your tadpoles did not come from a bad place. They came from a very, very high mountain. And they were living very well. They had probably, I'm not trying to sound like I'm over-exaggerating. In one of the pools where I got these guys, there were probably around 1 million tadpoles. To the point where I had seen them schooling a large mass, bigger than my book bag, all tadpoles. And I heard them, like I was hearing their mouths moving and didn't know what was going on in the pool. And I'm like, wow, they had a good year. And I mean, the water quality is fantastic up there. But anyway, they come from a very good home. There are 2 other places that I visited to try to get tadpoles for you guys. There's no water. And there was one place that I visited historically where one of my toads I rescued is from, so it means a lot to me to be out there. And the wood frogs laid eggs, and there's a good example here. You see the eggs in here? The eggs have passed away. So there's one location where all of the wood frog eggs died. Everything in the pond, it all died. What happened was they laid their eggs so close to the edge, the water level came down, the eggs all got clumped together. The tadpoles came out of the eggs, but couldn't swim away from the eggs to get to the water, so they died. So that's a big part of what happened. So these are very detailed concepts of what I'm sharing. So hopefully you guys are understanding a little bit, but there's a lot that's going on right now. I know you've had a question for a while. Go ahead.
How did you get the little frog out of the big frog's mouth?
I kind of knew that question was going to come, but I didn't expect for second graders. So, I work with frogs and toads at home a lot, and I kind of had an understanding of how to catch the bullfrog, without forcing the bullfrog to swallow the toad, because if you grab it a certain way, it's gone. So I had to carefully grab the bullfrog, I had to hold the bullfrog, and I had to carefully open the bullfrog's mouth. And then I had to carefully navigate the toad out of the stomach. So it was almost the reverse of dissecting an animal. But the interesting part is bullfrogs have teeth. They bite down, and like I was afraid he was going to get infected if he went right back out to the pond because he was a little red. And when I grabbed him, he was holding on to me for dear life and screaming, so I kind of got emotional with him. He was like, he literally was going to see death. He was ready to perish. So I felt very bad for him, and that's why I was like, I don't know, man. Like he struck a chord with me that I said, well, we're going to figure something out. But again, he would not be here, whatever you want to call it, but there was fate involved because I was 2 hours late from a nature hike, coming home and seeing that with seconds to act. And again, you can debate whether I made the right decision or not, and I think that's fair. But now we have an American toad who is going to be like the road toad in Westmoreland and western parts of our territory that we navigate. So we're up here and we're going to let these baby wood frogs go. I wanted to just give a huge shout out to the 2nd grade from Wimber Elementary. You guys did a fantastic job. I have somewhere around 17 or 18 baby wood frogs that we're going to let go right now. And we have more on the way that are already developing legs. So I'm very excited that you guys are the first group to see your wood frogs go back to the wild. So we're here at the top of a mountain and we're going to showcase letting these baby frogs go. Now the first group, Mrs. Toth's class, they were actually the group that gave some names to some of these frogs. So I just wanted to give a huge shout out to these guys. So for the tadpoles that became baby frogs, we have Maple, Vanessa, Clumsy, Duncan Doney, Mrs. Toth Jr., so they named one after their teacher, Noodle, Timmy Snicker the 38th, DJ Marshmallow, Flash, Patrick the 2nd, Ben the 2nd, Buzz, Ronaldo, Rose, and Skylar. So those are the names of the frogs that we're going to be letting go. I told them that I was going to read that whenever I saw them in their classroom as I was going to get the wood frogs to bring them up here. So now that we've gotten through all of a first name basis with our baby wood frogs, we're going to set them on a rock here, a platform. It's a rainy, foggy, and muggy night. So it's the perfect kind of conditions for wood frogs, American toads, eastern gray tree frogs. I was already filming gray tree frogs earlier tonight, road rescued a bunch of American toads, and now here we are, a round robin type of segment where now we're gonna focus on the wood frogs.